problem that I had with sticking to good habits was that I actually knew the habits I should be doing, but I couldn't stay on them consistently for long enough, so I didn't see any kind of physical results, and this just made it really easy for me to quit. It felt like I was taking basically one step forward and then just taking two steps back and not moving forward as I would have wanted to. But in the last 2 months of tracking my habits, I went from barely being able to do any of the good habits to now rarely missing a day. Here's exactly how I did it. I remember it being the first week of October when I decided I've just had enough with my shitty, unproductive ass lifestyle, and I decided to make a change. So I made myself a set of these good habits that I tried to stick to, but I didn't track them at the time, and it felt like whenever I missed a certain habit or I missed a day, I started to identify myself to that missed day, and I couldn't see the progress I had actually made. This just created a loop of negativity, and it was that time when I had a lot of self-doubt issues because just of the constant feeling of letting myself and letting my family down, and especially knowing what I should be doing, but just sometimes not doing it. These negative emotions just created a spiral that spiraled me back into the old habits I was trying to quit in the first place. Whenever I think of missed habits or missed days in general, I recall on this one morning, it was a few months ago, when I had to take my car to the mechanic, and he's a fairly busy guy, so I had to go there super early in the morning. Usually in the morning I do my morning routine, which is the set of morning exercises, meditation, journaling, just everything to get me in a good mind state to last me throughout the day. This morning I didn't make time for it, so I just went to the mechanic, and when I was on my way back, because I had to leave the car there, I got myself a taxi, and I was sitting in the taxi and I was just scrolling on my phone because I didn't have anything to do. And this was when I started to have these negative thoughts, because I had set myself up with a fairly decent morning routine and I had been consistent on them, but on that one morning I didn't do it. And this missed morning routine, throughout that day I had the subconscious feeling that I'm a failure, because whenever I want to do something and I don't do it, that's the first feeling I feel. So what happened was that this one missed day or one missed morning routine somehow defined the progress I made before. And I actually did the worst thing you could possibly do in this situation, because I could have just seen it as a one-off day, I could have seen it as, it is what it is, I messed up, I'm gonna just do better tomorrow. But what I did was, for whatever reason, I guess I just didn't know better back then, I made the promise of doing double the next day. So when I was used to doing 5 minutes of meditation, and even that was difficult for me at the start, I made a promise that the next day I'm going to do 10 minutes of meditation, just because I missed on that day. Came the next day, I obviously didn't do the 10 minutes, and I don't recall the next day after that, but I probably missed the 5 minutes then again. And the more I broke the promises made to myself, the more I lost trust in myself. So if I can keep my own word, then what kind of man am I? To my favor, it was, I think, a few weeks after this incident when I came across the concept of habit tracking on YouTube. I was watching a video from Hamza, his older video of habit tracking and it changing his life. And I decided to give it a go because, why not? I'm barely doing any progress, so I just wanted to speed up the progress I'm making. So what is habit tracking? Simply put, habit tracking is just writing down a set of habits and then sticking to them as best as you possibly can, and then every day once you've done the habit you can check it off. So over time you'll just have a notebook or a page with a load of check marks, and you can see this as your progress. If you're wondering how to get started on the whole habit tracking thing, I like to think of it in 2 steps. So step 1, the non-negotiables. When I got started on the habit tracking, I had these 4 pillars that I made. These were the 4 habits that I want to do every single day in order to feel accomplishment. These were gratitude journaling, meditation, reading, and exercise. These were the ones that I definitely had to make sure I do every single day. As time went on and I got the hang of it, I started to add more things onto the list. So currently we're in February and I have NoFap and also the mobility exercises on the list. Step 2, keep it doable. Looking back on the times when I started the habit tracking, I did the stupid mistake of whenever I wanted to get a box checked, I made the difficulty so high, which meant that if I just want to get the box checked for reading, I had to do like 15 minutes of reading. And to anyone that reads, that isn't a lot, but I didn't at that time. So 15 minutes of reading I just couldn't stay focused for that long. It was only when I started to actually lower the demands of myself and I put the reading down to 5 minutes. And this was when I could finally start checking the boxes and I gained the momentum. And now I'm planning to increase the volume over time. So right now for me it's 10 minutes of reading. But when I got started, it was very nice to lower it down to 5, because that meant that even when I had a day that I didn't really want to read or I didn't feel like reading, I had the option of leaving the checkbox empty and kind of feeling shit about it, or just reading for 5 minutes. As it's such a short time, I may as well just read the 5 minutes, who cares? Then I can put the check mark and say I've done it. So when I started, or the reason I started habit tracking was to increase my productivity and not be a lazy piece of shit. But what it actually did was that it changed the way I see myself, like in every aspect of my life. I started to see myself as not only the missed days, but also the 10 or 20 days that I had done pretty good progress before the missed day. The thing with habit tracking is that even with all its big, huge list of benefits, sometimes life just gets in the way. I had an issue with a trip in the start of this year actually. It was that my friends, or a group of my friends, invited me on a ski trip to Finland. Since I had a pretty good momentum or a pretty good rhythm at that time, I was really stuck in two minds whether I should go or if I shouldn't. I still went and I had a lot of fun, but since the guys there, or the friends, they aren't really like very disciplined guys, so I felt like my routine was going to suffer because of it. On that trip I did my best to actually stay consistent on the habits, but since, you know, it's a vacation and I just wanted to rest and have fun, to be honest. And that's the reason why I missed some of the habits. When I got back home, I tried to get back to the same rhythm or the same momentum I had before the trip. But since I had missed so many of the non-negotiable habits, I found it really hard to do it. The difference now was, though, that before I didn't have anything to prove my progress. Now I just had a look at my journal and I saw that, you know what, I'm actually doing pretty good. Like the past 5 days have been shit, but before that I've actually been surprisingly consistent for my standards. And I realized that I just had to do 2 days in a row. I mean, 1 is enough, but 2 is just to make it sure. I had to do 2 days and that's when I'm already back on track and in the same rhythm. I watch football and I'm a fan of Arsenal, so I like to see habit tracking in football kind of in the same way. So in football, for every season there's like a certain amount of wins that a team needs to get in order to get the league title. And for a big club like Arsenal, whenever they draw or they lose a game, their fans can get overly emotional, me included. But that's when it's better to zoom out and see that before that one loss, they had won like 5 games in a row. And no team is expected to win every single game. What matters is how after that one single loss they can bounce back and get back on the winning ways, because this would mean that they're still very well on track to winning the title. It's pretty much the same thing with habit tracking. The inevitable sometimes happens and you're going to miss the day. That's why I said in the start of the video that I rarely miss the habits, because I sometimes still miss them, but I don't miss the non-negotiables anymore. When I do miss something, it's exercise because I'm taking a rest day. These are the misses I have now. But let's say if I was to miss any of the habits now, what mattered was that how quickly I can just get back on track and back on track with checking the boxes and actually doing the habits, not just checking the boxes. That's the thing with habit tracking. It's to keep yourself accountable. That's why I do it. I could lie and like check down the boxes I've made every single day, but just lying to myself in my own journal, I think where I'm at right now, I couldn't really do it. I try to be as honest with myself as I can.
Making the habit tracker is actually quite simple, and in this next clip I am making myself the habit tracker for this month. So I'll start off with, in the top left corner, I write down the current month. Since I don't have a notebook or a journal with squares, I have to make the rows myself. And so I make 28 rows, and that's dependent on the number of days in the month. I didn't get the rows as straight as I would have wanted them to be, but it is what it is. The point gets across. Then I started writing down vertically the number of days. I've sped some parts up, otherwise it's just taking too long. Then I get to the 4 pillars. So it's meditation, gratitude journaling, exercise, and mobility. And I also added reading. Since the video you see is recorded after I've already done some of the habits, I can now check them off. So what I do each day is, whenever I get a habit done, I go to the specific row and then I simply put a check mark there. And at the end of the month, I can look back on the check marks and how I've done and compare it to the previous month. That's basically all there is to habit tracking.
Over time, I'm just so excited to see the progress I make, because I have a visual representation of it. I can see each month how many more boxes have I checked than the previous month. The biggest benefit I've noticed for myself with the habit tracking has definitely been just the positive self-view I have now. Before, I used to feel like whenever I did something good or I did a good habit, I felt like doing the good thing was the one-off day. Whereas now, whenever I miss a habit, that's the one-off day. So I've completely changed the way I see myself. Now I see myself as the productive guy that sometimes messes up like everyone does. I have to be honest, I'm just super grateful that I came across the concept of habit tracking and I implemented that into my self-improvement journey, because I really feel like not only has it sped up the whole process, but it actually gives me some kind of physical proof that I've done the work that I'm doing. If you'd be interested in a video about gratitude and more specifically the gratitude journaling, I have actually made a video about it. I will link it somewhere here and you can go check that out after this video. And take care.